In an EDRMS, have you ever given any thought to where compliance truly comes from? Well, there are two schools of thought. The first is compliance comes from end users. The end users decide two things, which documents are going to be managed as records, and secondly is what retention rule from the retention schedule will we apply to this particular document. Imagine you have perhaps 1,000 users deciding that 12 times a day. That's 12,000 decisions per day on what's a record and how to classify it against the retention schedule. The second school of thought is compliance isn't up to the users. It's imposed on the users by the organization. So if a user doesn't like the fact that this particular record has a 10-year retention, then that's too bad. That's the rule, and there's nothing they can do about it. So very, very opposite approaches. Users are in control. They decide retention treatments, or the organization is imposing it on the users, which is right, imposing it on the users. Compliance has to originate from the organization. It has to be imposed on users. Why? Because the users are not dependable to get it right for a number of reasons. I have a complete video on that, but trust me on this, is you have to configure your EDRMS to impose record keeping on the user's documents, not the other way around. Don't let users run the shop, okay? Users will have inconsistency and they don't care about records as much as you might think they do. And it's asking them to do a lot in the first place. So make sure you configure it that way, regardless of what software you're using. So what can we conclude from this? Well, there's two realities. Number one is we really cannot depend on the users. Therefore, we are going to have to automate this. And the second reality in an EDRMS is that the records management, or records manager, I should say, can't touch these records. Impossible. Because at the pace of, let's say, 12,000 a day, let that go on for a year, you're looking at an inflow of 3 million records. There's no way the records manager can deal with that. They can't examine them, fix them, do anything with them. So the system has to get it right each and every time. And by right, it means what's a record and how is it classified. The only way to do this is with automation. So assuming you're using SharePoint as your repository and that you're using one of these 5 software products to manage those records, please, if you don't automate, it'll never work.